Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Ben Reynolds, producer and host of the Vent webinar series, and I'm thrilled to introduce you to an extraordinary journey at the edge of the world, wild Patagonia in central Chile, operating this year from October 29th to November 16th. This epic tour was expertly designed by our longtime colleague, Andrew Whittaker, who brings decades of experience and a deep love for Chile's birds and landscapes. Andrew will be delivering today's presentation, offering you a first-hand look at what makes this trip one of the most scenic and wildlife-rich experiences in the Southern Hemisphere. From towering Andean peaks to lush Valdivian forests to the wind-swept plains of Tierra del Fuego. I'm also delighted to welcome the newest member of the Vent leader team, Raymond van Buskirk, who will guide this tour alongside a superb local expert. Though new to Vent, Raymond brings over a decade of professional guiding experience across the Western Hemisphere, from Alaska to Chile and nearly every country in Central America and the Caribbean. He's also led tours in Asia and Africa and the Pacific, and conducted ornithological research in some of the most remote and challenging environments on the planet, including the Arctic Ocean. Raymond is a dynamic and passionate birder, an educator, a mentor, and an advocate for inclusion in our field. His energy, warmth, and world-class field skills make him a phenomenal addition to the Vent team, and we're thrilled to have him on board. If you'd like to connect with Raymond directly after this session, just send me a message and I'll be happy to coordinate. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation, and most of all, I look forward to helping you plan and prepare for this incredible journey. If you decide to join us in Chile this fall, you'll be in great hands. Thanks again for joining us today.
Welcome, everybody. I'm thrilled to have this amazing opportunity of sharing my wonderful experiences of delightful Chile. It's a magic country. I fell in love with it 20 years ago when I first visited. Magical bird life, stupendous landscapes, and abundant wildlife. So I am looking forward to sharing this with you. So let's start our journey. Okay, so this first slide here is for our wild Patagonian and central Chile main tour. It's an 18-day tour. We begin in Santiago. You fly into Santiago, the capital of this magnificent country. It is a 5 million population. We have a lovely hotel just outside the airport with some birding nearby, and quite often people will arrive a day early to rest up, to be prepared for an exciting adventure. So what I will do is I will go through the areas we will visit. I won't really go into the information as regards birds, but those will be shown on the slides following. So our first day is a wonderful introduction to the Valle Nevada up in the Andes. It's a short ride up into these beautiful valleys, lots of wildflowers because we're in the spring here. So this is the condor, the Andean condor, lives up in these regions, and that's one of our beautiful birds we will see this day, along with many other tapaculas and brightly colored finches and furnariids, etc. After a wonderful day, we will return to Santiago, have a bit of time off, have a lovely meal. Before the following day, we will begin traveling south in our very comfortable bus. We will drive through the vineyards of southern central Chile towards Talca. Here in Talca, our main reason for visiting are the beautiful southern beech forests of Altos de Lacay National Reserve. We have a couple of birding stops on the way, a lovely wetland area and a nice river where breeding colony of burrowing parakeets is really spectacular, and we'll probably see our first torrent ducks. We then go up into Vilches, which is a beautiful reserve with a lovely family-run hotel with forested grounds. The following day, we will then have a lovely day discovering the birds of the national forest. One of our key birds here is the magnificent Magellanic woodpecker. we return back to our beautiful lodge, have a great family cooked meal. And then the following day, we then return back to Santiago and begin our migration south. We take a flight of a couple of hours to Puerto Montt, which is in the Lake District of central Chile. Beautiful area with Valdivian forests, lots of really neat birds to see there. We will visit the Alerce Andino National Park with some of the oldest trees in the world, up to 3,600 years old. We will also have a lovely pelagic trip looking for a newly described storm petrel just around Chiloé Island. And then we go across onto Chiloé Island with a ferry and spend a couple of nights on Chiloé Island, which is very famous within Chile for tourism. And it's very rich birds and animals there, and we'll really enjoy that. We have a really wonderful wilderness place to visit with some good mammals. We then return back to Puerto Montt, and then we travel south again, this time to the end of the world. Funnily enough, we come into land into Punta Arenas, and we can see the huge Magellanic area of the Magellan Straits, and onto the big area of land called Terra del Fuego, the land of fire. We have a very nice hotel right on the front there with lots of birds nearby. We'll enjoy a beautiful barbecue meal that evening, and then the following day we spend a day birding around the area. We'll go into the Magellan Straits themselves to a beautiful penguin colony, and then in the afternoon we'll do some birding for water birds around near the hotel. The next day we take a ferry across to the land of fire, Terra del Fuego, and here we have some spectacular scenery with fantastic colony of king penguins and some other really special Patagonian birds. We will leave Serra Sombrero and go across on a small ferry again, starting to go north. There's a beautiful gravel road there that we will drive along, looking for many special birds before we arrive in the evening at Puerto Natales. And from there, we will have a wonderful barbecue meal of lamb at one of the famous restaurants before we head off the following day to Torres del Paine National Park, which is just spectacular. The park is, one of the 7th wonders of the world. The scenery is spectacular, and one of our prime reasons for visiting the park is to go and see the puma along with a lot of birds. We'll spend 3 days there, have a wonderful experience, and then we fly back, depending on the flights, either from Puerto Natales or Punta Arenas back to Santiago. For those who want to see more birds, because our central Chile's and central Chile area has a lot of endemics, which we don't see on the main tour. So we have a Santiago extension, which visits 3 main areas. We go up into the beautiful Andes, the El Yeso Valley, just outside Santiago, for the diadem sandpiper plover, which has to be one of the most beautiful shorebirds in the world. We will visit also the coast, very rich Humboldt Current along the coast with lots of wetlands, estuaries around Laguna Cartagena. We have a great spot for some marvelous shorebirds, water birds, etc. Then the other highlight, which people love, is we have a half-day pelagic trip. We take a private boat out and we look at the albatrosses, petrels, and shearwaters, and it's just magnificent. Come back and have a wonderful seafood meal. So let's enjoy the Chile here, and let's go and have a look at the slides. Chile is the longest and narrowest country in the world. It's about 2,700 miles long, and average is about 110 miles wide. The coastline on the Pacific is spectacular, as you can see here, beautiful beaches, very, very rich, lots and lots of birds. If you just look at this, what looks like a bare rock, if you take a closer look, you can see it's full of life. We've got up on the top there some sea lions. To the right, there's a colony of pelicans, Peruvian pelicans, and in the center we have a group of Peruvian boobies. As we go inland, the volcanic activity in Chile is amazing. It's caused such rich areas. You can see lush habitat, very, very good for wines, famous Chilean wines, and extremely good for bird watching. And just beautiful, clear air all the time. The air is like champagne here in Chile, wonderful. And as I said, the mountains between Chile and Argentina are full of volcanoes. In fact, Chile has more volcanoes than any other country in the world. I think something around about 1,300 volcanoes, many of which are active, like this one. I think there's over 500 active volcanoes. Along the coast, as you go further south, you come to Chiloé Island. Chiloé Island is absolutely magnificent. These fjords and these bays are absolutely just abound with migrant birds. Here you can see a bunch of godwits and black-necked swans. Lots and lots of things to look at on Chiloé Island. And then we fly further south into Patagonia, wild Patagonia. This is the Patagonian steppes. They are beautiful, a lot of very range-restricted species of birds. Again, pure air and just wilderness. It's magnificent out there. It's just wonderful. So before I go into the birds and animals and other nature we'll see, the most important part, I think, that Vent, we do a lot with local guides. And I have a fabulous co-leader that works with me for many, many years. I've got to know him very, very well indeed. He's a great friend of mine now, Fernando Gias. He adds a lot to the trip because he is a great guy to travel with. He has a lot of information that I don't know about Chile. So anybody who wants to know a little bit more in-depth information about Chile, Fernando's always there to help. Very sharp-eyed as well. In fact, the first time we did a trip together, we had a very illustrious guest on a private tour with us. It was a stowaway mouse. I actually did a little article on that in Messages and Memories. But anyway, Fernando's a wonderful guy, and people really enjoy his humor. So outside Santiago, we visit the Valle Nevada, which is the Valley of the Snow. Up in the mountains there, it's absolutely lush, gorgeous habitat. And we start to begin with seeing probably one of the easiest tapacuras you will ever see, the mustache turca, which is an enigmatic endemic. It's a beautiful bird. It behaves like a towhee, has these really thick legs, strong legs, big claws, and against some Californian poppies, in fact, that were introduced. But this is a magnificent bird, has a great voice, and it's really fun to watch them along the sides of the road. As I said before, the Andes are the home of the Andean condor. Chile probably has a larger population of Andean condors than anywhere else in the world. These are magnificent flying machines. They're about 10.5-foot wingspan. They live 40, 50 years. And this is an adult. It takes many, many years to reach this adult plumage. And we often have fantastic studies of these outside Santiago and also down in the Patagonia area of Torres del Paine National Park. We will see our first ovenbirds of the trip. It's interesting, the ovenbird, the family of ovenbirds is named after the Rufus hornero, which, as anyone who's been to Argentina or Brazil, makes this oven-shaped nest, this mud nest that's like an oven. And hornero is oven in Spanish. So this is Rufus-banded minor. Sometimes have a little flurry of snow up there on the mountains. Splashes of color here also with the beautiful greater yellowfinch, a male here, and an assortment of siskins and Sierra finches too, adding to the color. Not only do we look at the birds, there are some fascinating plants up here. Don't forget we're in the spring, so you can enjoy your second spring in a year if you visit Chile in November, as we do every year. The plants are absolutely spectacular. This is a big bromeliad. It stands about 6 foot tall. It's a puya. As you can see, the flowers are very interesting coloration. They're kind of greenish blue with an orange center. And you see these protuberances above the flowers. They are perches for a hummingbird. And the reason that they have made perches available for the hummingbird is because it's not any hummingbird, it's the giant hummingbird. Many times these birds are the size of a small swallow or a swift, often look swift-like when they're in flight, but they land on those perches and they go down and take out the pollen on their beaks when they're going for the nectar. So we always have wonderful studies of these magnificent, the largest of all hummingbirds, the giant hummingbird. We then head south in towards Talca region the following day. And as I said before, we have a couple of wonderful breeding colonies of this amazing bird, the burrowing parakeet. In many other countries in South America and Argentina, they were almost extirpated because of the pet trade. Unfortunately, here they're doing extremely well. Numbers are growing all the time. There's no pet trade in Chile. This really shouldn't be called a parakeet. I classify this as a macaw. It's like a small macaw. It's the size of a small macaw. Beautiful colors, great antics when we watch them flying around their colonies. They are magnificent birds, very, very loud also. And some of you have probably been with me before on vent trips. I love orchids. I've become passionate about orchids. There are lots of beautiful orchids like this chlorea here in Chile. We'll see lots of them on our trip. Most of other South American countries, the orchids are actually arboreal. Here they are terrestrial, which makes it easy to enjoy them. Also in the same region, there are some lovely lakes with lots of waterfowl on them. One of my favorites is the Chiloe widgeon, named after the island we will visit later on in the trip. They have this beautiful blue and purple green hue on their heads. We then travel up to Lercai, and we have a lovely hotel there, set within the southern beech forests, home to a magnificent woodpecker. But first afternoon when we arrive, we enjoy the hummingbird show at the lodge. There are lots of feeders in the lodge's grounds, and only one species of hummingbird this far south, greenback firecrown. The males are very well named, as you can see, with their fiery crown. They are really spectacular. When the sunlight hits that crown, it just blows you away. Absolutely beautiful bird. Our main quarry here is the much sought after Magellanic woodpecker. These woodpeckers are enormous. It's the same genus as your ivory-billed woodpecker. So they have a beautiful big white band in their wing when they're flying through the forest. And we always have fantastic studies of these birds on the trip. The female is very different than this male. She's all black with a white down the center of the back and these big white wing panels, but she has an incredibly curly crest and a beautiful red area just in front of the beak. The rest of the bird is black. But these are huge and magnificent birds, often feeding down low as well. Interesting enough, there is a local delicacy here. Some years we've been able to try it. It's Darwin's bread fungus. Kind of grows out of the larch trees there, and it is kind of popular. Another bird that's really spectacular here, it almost behaves like a nuthatch. It is called the white-throated tree runner, and you can see it's got this incredible beak for taking out small insects out of the bark and out of the lichen. The air is so pure in Chile, as you can see from this photograph. There is lichen everywhere. It's like champagne. It reminds me of the Antarctic cruises, beautiful clean air, or up in Scotland or Scandinavia. Not only are the birds here, also on these beautiful trails through the southern beech forest here, we come across every trip this beautiful endemic species of lizard. It's called a jewel lizard. This is a beautiful male. He is so cool looking, he attracts a harem of females, and we will have wonderful studies of this. Around the lodge in the evening, we will try for the fairly localized rufous-legged owl. We have had some years where we've been able to bring them in the daytime, but this is a magnificent owl, about the size of your barred owl. Very, 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 very pretty with an incredible vocalization. So from here, we then head south. We go back to Santiago and fly down to Puerto Montt, which used to be a German settlement and was very, very popular at one stage with salmon fisheries. They used to export more salmon than anywhere else in the world. We'll have a nice afternoon exploring the coast here. One of the nice birds along the coast here is an interesting family. It's the cotingas. There are 3 species of plant cutter in South America, and this is the rufous-tailed plant cutter. It's doing best of all the 3 plant cutters in numbers, and they have an incredible zip-like voice. They have serrated beaks, and they feed mostly on vegetation and flowers. Often we can get them in the scope, and you can see the serration on the beak there, and this beautiful red eye. We'll then visit the Valdivian forests. This is where this is a Tapakula day to remember. This is where people fall in love with the Tapakulas. This is the charming Chukau Tapakula. If any of you have been to Europe, particularly in England, where robins are very easy to see, they come out and hop out in lawns. This bird behaves like a European robin. They are absolutely magnificent. Many people have this in the top 5 birds of the trip. The other interesting thing that's just been discovered about this bird in the last year or so is that they feed on a fungus. They will forage on the leaf litter, turning it up with their strong legs and claws, and they are truffle specialists. Isn't that amazing? Truffles. So someone needs to use them to make some money, I guess. They don't use pigs, you use your tapaculas to find you truffles to sell them. The other thing about these forests, these Valdivian forests, they are so thick, but the voices of these tapaculas are spectacular. Later on in the show, Ben will play you the tape recording of this black-throated wet-wet, which is a huge tapacula. It's the size of an American robin and really brightly colored, and one that people love. Often when we're having picnics on the trips, wherever we're having picnics, we often have great encounters with foxes. This is a magnificent Cupeo fox. The other species of fox we see is Patagonian gray fox. We then head off from Puerto Montt, we head off to Chiloé Island. First of all, we have a nice private boat trip looking for this exciting bird. This is the Pincoya storm petrel, only discovered in 2013, described in 2013. Still no one knows its voice. No one knows exactly where it breeds. It's a really special bird that we've been privileged to see on every one of our trips so far. I think we're one of the first groups to see this bird on a special pelagic trip. You can see skipping across the water here. We then take a ferry across to the main island of Chiloé, which is a beautiful place, very, very nice. Amazing, the first trip we had over here, we were surprised to find what the flightless steamer duck looked like. This is basically a South American equivalent of your eider ducks. The bird here is yet to be named. It's a new species to science. It has different plumage characteristics than the true flightless steamer duck, which we'll see further south in Patagonia around Punta Arenas. But specifically, look at the small vestigial wings here, this male. If you look at the carpal joint, the bend in the wing there, you can see those orange protuberances, very strange. I believe that those are used when it's swimming underwater in strong currents to feed on either shellfish or seaweed. It'll be able to hold itself on the floor and feed on shellfish. So that's a very big bird, very, very nice, interesting looking bird. The sheltered areas around Chiloé are extremely rich in tidal bays. It is one of the most important wintering areas. About 2/3 of all the Hudsonian godwits winter in Chiloe Island, along with huge numbers of whimbrel, red knot, bared sandpiper. This was taken on a scouting trip with Fernando and myself in April. Birds just fat, just full of subcutaneous fat, ready to migrate further north and coming into breeding plumage. To the right, you can see the illustration here of the map of where one bird, you see this red line from Chiloe Island going north to its breeding areas. This is a 6-day trip, satellite image, 6-day trip they found following this bird. They do breed further north in Alaska and around in Hudson Bay, so it would continue, but that's where it landed. Basically 6 days nonstop. Amazing. One of the most amazing migrations of all birds, in fact, is the godwit. Also, lots of water birds around here. The magnificent, majestic black-necked swans are very common here. We see flocks of hundreds. This is a male with more of a bulbous growth on its beak than the females. Also, we have very lush vegetation on the island here. We visit a wilderness area, and when we first visited this wilderness area, Fernando and I were intrigued by all the broken area underneath these gunnera. These are sometimes called in Central America poor man's umbrellas. And this intrigued us to know what had actually done this. And you see we are holding the stem there. That stem is covered in thorns, very well protected. We found out that night what was eating them. And to our amazement, it was southern pudu, a world's smallest deer. I had never seen one. Fernando had never seen one. And this is the best place in the world to see southern pudu. We see them on every trip, and it's just magical, magical little bird, little animal. We have some very interesting flycatchers on the island. This is a very well-named fire-eyed dugong, very delicate, about the size of a kingbird, very spectacular with that fiery red eye. In some broom here, which has been introduced, sadly. The other couple of interesting animals we have on the island, there is Darwin's fox, which we haven't seen yet, but one year we hope to see it. It's an endemic on the island, but amazingly, this is the poorly known codcod. On the island, most of the codcods are melanistic. This is one I had incredible luck to find on my first ever, 15 years ago, my first ever trip to Chile. I happened to come early in the morning across one feeding, and I got some incredible video and these beautiful images of this cat. It's about the size of a small domestic cat. We will have our first experience of visiting a colony of penguins here. This is the Magellanic penguin. They nest in burrows. We'll take a boat trip out and enjoy those. If you haven't seen a penguin before, they really are amazing creatures to watch their antiques. The coast also has a large number of cormorants. This is one of the most beautiful cormorants, in my opinion, in the world, the red-legged cormorant. You can see the beautiful, subtle markings around the bird's eye there. Another special bird on the island is the slender-billed parakeet. This is a much sought-after endemic, and we have lots of flocks of those flying around and giving wonderful views. They're often in the fire trees. They like the nectar that the fire trees produce. Again, fiery red flowers. We then fly south to Punta Arenas. On our way from the airport to the hotel, we will be greeted by these wonderful upland geese along the sides of the road. Interesting enough, two forms, one that has a white belly and one that has a barred belly. On the male here, the female's the one with a brown head to the left. Also, the very attractive ashy-headed geese. And that night we get into Punta Arenas. We have a beautiful hotel right on the front, in front of a huge colony of cormorants nesting on the pier. We will enjoy one of our wonderful barbecues of golden lamb, Chilean style. Absolutely spectacular. Wash it down with some nice Chilean wine, and it makes for a wonderful, wonderful experience. The following day, we will take an expedition looking for this extremely rare endangered goose. This is the ruddy-headed goose. They have been doing a lot of research on how to help protect their breeding areas just south of Punta Arenas. and we have a reserve that we will visit there and see these magnificent birds. Also, we will take a quick trip to a beautiful, huge colony of Magellanic penguins on an island offshore in the Magellan Straits. Often on our trips across the Magellan Straits, we are followed by beautiful dolphins. This is one of my favorites, the small Commerson's dolphin, beautiful black and white dolphin. You can see it's quite cold, the water. As the animals jumping out the water here, you can see the blood vessels are pumping blood. That's why it gives it a pink coloration, yet the one under the water is white. Around the hotel, in front of the hotel, we often have these beautiful confiding two-banded plovers. The following day, we will take a big ferry for 2 hours across the Magellan Straits onto the island of Faya, Terra del Fuego. Here, one of our key birds to find is the monotypic genus, the Magellanic plover. It's in its own family. These are very, very sought after birds, very hard to find. We have a lot of local information. Fernando has worked on studying these birds. They are absolutely beautiful with these shocking pink legs, this beautiful red eye, and they like brackish lakes. Very low density bird, but we've always been very successful enjoying them. They feed by stirring up, going around in circles, a little bit like a phalarope, I guess, but with their legs. They will go around in circles, stirring up small insects and catching them with their beak. Funnily enough, they were thought to be a plover. That's not true. They are most closely related to sheathbills. Interestingly, they feed their young on a milk-like substance, like a dove. So they are fascinating and absolutely gorgeous birds. I love shorebirds. On the island, there's several important birds to look for. One of them that people really enjoy watching is this really almost looks like a kestrel flight, so long-winged, the chocolate-vented tyrant. Very low density again, but we'll have magnificent studies of this bird. As we drive further south, we will come across our first flocks of Chilean flamingos. Always magnificent to see these pinks, the beautiful pinks of these birds in the blue waters. I beg your pardon. Just jumped a slide there. The reason that we're driving south is in Neutral Bay to find this incredible colony of king penguins. They are absolutely adorable. They are, to me, the most beautiful looking bird on our planet. They are totally immaculate. Their antics are really, really funny to watch. They are absolutely amazing. On the left here, it's a small colony of about 120. It's growing, it's being protected. There are blinds nearby, so you can have fantastic studies of these birds. On the left there is a youngster. It's about almost a year old there. She'll be fledging in about a month's time from when this photograph was taken in December. It's called an oakum boy, an oakum boy. We then have to leave the land of fire and we travel across the Bahia Azul on a lovely ferry, and we then enter into the realm of the Patagonian steppes, which are beautiful. We have a very remote road that drives right through the steppes. We won't see anybody else all day until we get into Puerto Natales. We look for a lot of specialized birds, including this least seed snipe, often sitting on the sides of the road, flying up and displaying, having this wild song, and then coming down to attract females. Some nice passerines to look for as well. This songbird is the white-browed finch, very poorly named. As you can see, when you see them in flight, this beautiful yellow wing panel just hits you. So I think a better name was canary-winged finch. We also have the chance of finding this really quite delightful skunk. This is a hognose skunk. One year we found one foraging for geese eggs, and it found an egg, but it couldn't break it. I think it was probably adult anyway. So maybe he was lucky he didn't break it. We also have a beautiful couple of dotterel to look for, rufous-chested dotterel. This is a beautiful tawny-throated dotterel. Always some interesting plants. As I said, we're in the spring when all the plants are flowering. These are Caustolario. They're really wild-looking plants. They are interesting. That big white band, the botanists think it's to actually attract the seed snipe, and the seed snipe feed on these. They feed on the flower itself. We then arrive in the evening in this beautiful little town, Puerto Natales. Historically, on the plains here, on the steppes, there were lots of giant ground sloths. This statue just shows you an idea of how big they were, and only recently did they become extinct, 10,000 years ago. Following day, we head to one of my favorite spots on the planet, the famous Torres del Paine National Park, where the scenery is just breathtaking. It takes your breath away. This is Pihoe Lake, looking across at the famous spires. In the park itself, it's very well protected, very popular place to see wildlife. This is the Darwin's rhea. Very interesting. You find them in flocks. They look like they have a white petticoat. And if you look, not many birds you're able to see the ears. And I'm wondering, my goodness, can you imagine in the Patagonian winter with the strong winds, cold wind blowing in your ear? They need earmuffs. Also some nicely colored songbirds. This is the long-tailed meadowlark, a male. And Magellanic horned owl. This used to be considered a great horned owl, but you can see the eye color is different. It's smaller, it's totally different gray looking bird. And we'll often have extremely good views of these. Those eyes, owls are so photogenic, they are just magnificent creatures. Also, the beautiful, graceful Cinereus harriers will have arrived and be displaying and flying over the marshes here. This is a nice male. One year we had a female on our crossing right in the midstream of the Magellanic Straits was this Cinereus harrier flapping in. Bird watching is always incredible, breathtaking scenery in the background as we have here. This is the group looking for a very, very sought after bird in the marsh here. Some years we're very lucky to see it. This is the austral rail, which was recently rediscovered only about 20 years ago. Very difficult bird to see, but we have been lucky to see it on a few occasions. And another magnificent creature in the park is the wild herds of guanaco. They really are photogenic. They are really beautiful camels. I really, really enjoy watching their antiques. This time of year, we may be lucky enough to see the adorable baby guanacos also. Isn't that cute? The reason there are so many guanacos in the park is the reason why there are so many puma. And that is one of the reasons that Vent in particular concentrate on giving you wonderful, wonderful experiences with the pumas. The hillsides at this time of year in the spring, as I said, are ablaze with guanaco bushes, named after the guanaco. They are small bushes, feeling almost thorny to the touch, but covered in this flaming orange or red flowers. Absolutely spectacular. Around every bend in Torres del Paine National Park, there is a photo op. Here by the waterfalls, it's often a very good sight to see the beautiful torrent duck, which has to be one of the most beautiful ducks in the world. We also have lots of colorful birds too, such as this colorful Patagonian Sierra finch, male. And as I said, we are extremely interested to be able to study and enjoy pumas. Therefore, we work with a local group of puma trackers. They have special permission to go onto land that other people aren't allowed to go onto. They know the pumas inside out. They are out before we get up for breakfast at dawn looking for pumas. And we have radio contacts. We have the local biologists come in and chat to us about the pumas. And then we go out and take advantage of these magnificent creatures. This is a female puma hunting out in the grasslands. Unfortunately, the guanaco have seen her. They have lookouts. They have sentinels that look out for pumas, and then they'll bleat and alarm, and there is no way she will catch them if they know she's there. From the work that's been done by the local biologists, the puma trackers, they found that they can identify, as in the Pantanal with the jaguars, they can identify each individual by different facial markings. This one was called Red Nose. It's a 2-year-old female, really attractive cat, walking along the side of the road here when I took the photograph. While we're looking for pumas, we sometimes, if we're lucky, we run into these large hairy armadillos, which are really bizarre, very quick, and they live in burrows, and if they're not too careful, the puma will also feed on them. Guanaco, we can stop in herds of guanaco and enjoy watching their antics. They are very agile, as you can see here, jumping the fence. However, the pumas have realized that walking that fence line is a good place to lay an ambush for the guanacos. And so this, in fact, this big female here, she uses that fence line as a hunting, almost like a net for fishing. She'll chase the puma will chase the guanacos towards the fence line. If one of them makes a mistake, that's the end, basically. And here's Fernando and me hunting a puma with a camera. The group are just off to the right there. I tell you, to have the experience of being able to walk along watching a wild puma hunt is absolutely amazing. Must be one of the most amazing wildlife experiences I've ever had. So the pumas, they are a very different coloration than the cougars of North America. The cougars of North America are much smaller, about 50% smaller almost, and a different coloration. These are more the color of a guanaco, so they can camouflage themselves very, very well. And this is a 2-year-old puma cub here, full size, magnificent creature. We will have many, many experiences with pumas, with the trackers' help. This one year we watched a group of 3 1.5-year-old cubs here playing, 2 males and a female. The female's on the left, a little bit smaller headed than the males. And occasionally we have the opportunity to see them even feeding on a kill. This was taken during a scouting trip, a unique observation. During the 3 years they've been working on pumas, the trackers, they had never seen a male at a kill with a cub, and this was the first experience that they'd ever seen. The male's on the left, this huge, great big head. This is a female. The young have nothing to do with the male. The male leaves the cubs with the female, and she looks after them. The female was sitting up on the bank here, keeping a watchful eye over the situation here. So pumas absolutely is an amazing experience. You then sadly have to leave Torres del Paine and either go back to Puerto Natales or to Punta Arenas. We will spend some time looking in the wetlands there. These beautiful white-tufted grebes are one of the birds from the wetlands, along with a lot of other wildfowl. And the Magellanic snipe. This used to be called South American snipe. Interesting, as they breed in areas very remote in Patagonia, they don't get much contact with humans, so they're often extremely tame, as you can see from this this image. We then fly back up to Santiago. Those of you who want to join the extension around Santiago. First of all, we go down to the beautiful coastline. Again, this rich Humboldt Current adds an incredible amount of species diversity in pelagic birds, but also great plants. A lot of the birds we don't see on the main tour are available on this trip here, one of which is striped-back bittern. We have a very, very good site for striped-back bittern and had great success showing that and having wonderful experiences with it fishing. Magical little bird. Look at the beautiful striping on the back here. This was taken by Fernando, in fact. We'll also enjoy fabulous seafood. This is Quintero. The fish is just delicious. There's crabs, wonderful food in cuisine in Chile in general is fantastic. Just over the back here, we actually often see the Cyclodes, the seaside Cyclodes, which is endemic to Chile on the rocks. From here, either Quintero or Valparaiso, we'll do a half-day boat trip, pelagic trip on our own private boats with a lot of chum for seabirds. I call these the bova boys. These beautiful, huge Peruvian pelicans recognize the boat, I think, realize they're going to get a good feed and follow us. And this is a beautiful adult in breeding plumage here, about a third bigger than the brown pelican. They're huge. However, our main quarry is the magnificent albatrosses. The commonest albatross is the Salvin's albatross. That's our birds on the right. And in the center, we have a Buller's albatross, which is a little bit rarer, a little bit smaller as well. And here they are fighting for the chum that we're throwing off the back of the boat. And to have these birds within a few meters is just a magnificent experience. Sometimes we've counted over 100 albatross following the boat. It really is one of the best pelagic trips of a lifetime. We also experience magnificent northern royal albatrosses, which one of the great albatrosses, which has this huge wingspan of over 3 meters. They live 50, 60, maybe 70 years sometimes, these birds. They are absolutely magnificent, gliding over our oceans. They take your breath away. You can't say anything about it. The size of a swan, to give you an idea how big these birds are, about 12 kilos. We have a lovely hotel here on the coast with a pool that overlooks a small beach and a beautiful rocky area. And right by the edge of the pool, we have over 100 Inca terns. You can take photographs with your cell phone. They are, without doubt, the most beautiful tern in the world. Almost look a little bit like a gull in flight, but they are absolutely gorgeous. We then go inland to visit the Andes, about 2 hours outside Santiago, and we go up into a beautiful valley called El Yeso, magnificent panoramic views. And it's a beautiful glacial U-shaped valley with incredible different colored scree, as you can see from this illustration. We have very, very nice transport here, and we enjoy a beautiful picnic lunch here out in this magnificent area overlooking this marsh. This is where we're looking for a very special bird, an iconic bird of the high Andes here. And look at those scree slopes, every color in the rainbow. Absolutely magnificent sight. Fresh air again and beautiful. And our main quarry is this magnificent creature. To me, the most iconic and spectacular shorebird in the world, the diadem sandpiper plover. And we have had fantastic looks at this bird. Very, very tame. Fernando actually studies them, so he knows the bird like the back of his hand, and they are just fantastic. There is no easier place to see this magnificent shorebird than Chile. In Peru and other countries, you have to walk a long way up at high altitudes. This is just a fantastic place for them. And what a setting. Down by the coast, the rich coastal waterways hold some really nice birds like the stunning many-colored rush tyrant. It's a type of flycatcher. And of course, lots and lots and lots of water birds, such as the beautiful red shoveler, swans, geese, and grebes too. And so we're coming to the end of the slideshow, but you have a wonderful video coming up for you of some antiques of the puma cub and the song of the black-throated wet-wet. So I'll turn over to Ben here, and thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Andrew, for that phenomenal presentation. And thank you all for joining us today. As a quick recap, this year's Wild Patagonia and Central Chile tour will operate from October 29th to November 16th, 2025. This is a spectacular journey through some of the most jaw-dropping landscapes on Earth, from the Andes to Patagonia and Tierra del Fuego, where you'll have the chance to see pumas, penguins, condors, and more. This departure will be led by Raymond van Buskirk, the newest addition to the Vent team. Raymond brings deep global experience, infectious enthusiasm, and a passion for sharing birds and nature with others. He will be joined by an outstanding local expert guide. The tour price is $19,425 per person in double occupancy. The internal flights are included and outlined in the map. The tour is limited to 12 participants. Please contact Penny Seda, the tour operations manager, penny@ventbird.com, or give us a call, toll free 800-328-8368. Also, don't miss the optional extension, Santiago Highlights Extension, Andes, wetlands, and albatross galore. This is a perfect add-on for anyone wanting to deepen their Chilean birding experience. It will be led by Andrew Whittaker, November 14th through 20th, 2025. It is priced $4,895 per person in double occupancy, and the tour is limited to 12. And with that, we hope you'll consider joining us on one of these epic adventures, and we look forward to traveling with many of you very soon. Thank you for your time today. Look forward to seeing you in the field.